In The Cube, we go beyond the politicians, bringing you all voices, the voices of the protesters on the streets of Beirut.
In Beirut, Carol Malouf, many thanks. Well, as we've been hearing, protesters have been clashing with security forces outside the Parliament building in Beirut. Well, our team in The Cube has been reaching out to hear what people there will have to say. Alex in The Cube has more.
Well, Isabel, picking up there on what you were hearing from Carol, there's talk of volatility. To understand why there's so much volatility, you have to look to the people on the streets, to the long history they have with dissatisfaction, anger with the political establishment. Let's not forget last October, it's called the October Revolution, people out on the streets protesting. Let's bring you these pictures. They were sent to us by Nada. She's a 28-year-old journalist. She was in amongst the action. You can see here, this is a bit earlier on, security forces with an armoured vehicle there lining up against protesters. We know rocks were thrown, but here you can see tear gas being fired by the security services and then thrown back by the demonstrators. What you're getting a sense here is anger on the streets, anger among those people there, a sense that they don't trust the people on the other side of that fence. And one of those is Owen here. He was in amongst those demonstrations. I asked him why he was angry, not just at the current politicians, but at President Macron. This is what he had to say.
His appointment was a rushed decision so that they can just please Macron, so that he can extend their lifeline. We're not going anywhere with the current political class. We just have to create from scratch. Regarding the other options besides the only way we can prop them up as actual candidates is if the international community stops propping up the current political class and starts giving a chance to the alternatives that are chosen by the people, that are part of a grassroots movement as opposed to a fossilized political elite.
So what you're hearing there from Owen there, slight disruption on the link, but he was saying that they don't want the politicians, not even the new Prime Minister designate put forward and propped up by Macron, saying the international community is legitimising these politicians, part of what he called a fossilised elite there, as opposed to reaching out and looking for new representatives. I did ask him who they might be. He's at the moment not giving me any particular names. That's a big problem here, of course. Who, if not these men? Well, that's a question I also put to Nawa. She is a lawyer in the country. She again echoed this sense that she had no trust in the current politicians and wants the international community to turn their backs on them. This is what she had to say.
No, it's clear to all of us that as long as these people remain in power, there will be no accountability, and more importantly, there will not be justice for the victims of the blast. By engaging in backdoor negotiations with the faces of this regime, with the same people who are not being held accountable, Macron is entrenching their power. For a lot of us, we know that his engagement in Lebanon is geopolitical. The new prime minister that they named, that was chosen from the ranks of these politicians, will not be any different, and we aren't hopeful for any improvement.
So you get a sense here the anger is long-standing, Isabel. It's certainly not going to be solved by this trip from Emmanuel Macron, however hard a line he takes with the politicians currently in power.
OK, long-standing anger. Well, Alex, many thanks.